Ahoy hoy, I'm Planarwalk, and this is the last video about anarcho-capitalism that I'm going to make unless somebody points me to videos trying to prove anarcho-capitalism. But anyway, for now it will be the last one. This one is going to deal with welfare, because I think that the biggest problem with anarcho-capitalism is the fact that there would be no proper welfare system in place. Now, let's quickly take a look at some of the points that they make about welfare.
Something else we get over and over again is, who would help the poor? But the fact is, government just doesn't do that good of a job at helping the poor.
It really depends on what government you're talking about. The Chinese government probably does a crappy job at helping the poor, whereas a government like the New Zealand government does a hell of a lot better job at helping the poor.
Before the welfare state, the poverty rate was dropping like a stone, and the poor enjoyed huge amounts of upward mobility. The poor in one year were pretty much different people than the poor the next year, who were pretty much immigrants, young people, and other new entrants into the workforce.
Now, I don't doubt what he's saying. But here's the thing. Today is a lot different to back then. Today you've got things like automation, you've got smartphones. What used to take many people to do can now be done by a smartphone. This is the nature of the world changing. You don't need a whole lot of people to do things. You just need a smartphone or a robot, which can easily do it, which means that jobs are being lost. So that means that more people have to live in poverty if there is no welfare. Now, in anarcho-capitalism, you have to assume that charities would pop up to accommodate this, and you'd have to assume that rich people would be donating to these charities. But the problem is that a lot of rich people, the only reason why they donate to these charities is because they want to evade tax. Tax is kind of one of them things which, either way, it helps. Whether it's people donating because they want to avoid tax to charity, that helps. With tax, that can help with welfare systems. It can help because tax is what gives people pensions. So if you're in the retirement age and you didn't manage to save enough to retire, you get a pension. Or at least that's how it works in New Zealand. And so for welfare systems, they are more needed today than ever.
But Johnson's so-called Great Society with his wonderful welfare program stopped that in its tracks. The poverty rate is now a pretty consistent 15%, and we've also seen the destruction of a lot of private charities for the poor, including free clinics and charity hospitals.
Now, back when it was created, it may have been a bit more destructive than productive, but today, if we were to get rid of welfare, it would hurt a lot of people, because there are not enough jobs for everyone to go and get a job. And the jobs that are available will continue to decline as we go more and more into automation.
Another argument that statists make goes along the lines of, well, if the government doesn't regulate businesses, then what will stop them from exploiting their workers as well as the consumer?
Now, I've already brought up this point in the last video, but I want to respond to this point again in the context of this video. Because if a worker is, just say he's not paid enough to save up, and then he is fired from his job, or made redundant because of automation, then that worker is on the bones of his ass. He can't really do anything, and maybe he will end up homeless after losing his job. Who knows? With welfare, when that person loses his job, he can then get welfare to help him back up and then possibly find another job. Another thing that I want to point out is with the New Zealand government, they're trying to get rid of fees for tertiary institutes, which basically means that instead of costing $10,000 a year, it'll cost something around $2,000 a year to go to these places. And I know what people are going to say when it comes to things like student loans, because if the government didn't have student loans, I'm sure that businesses would be like, alright, we need more employees, so we're going to give people scholarships. And that does work. But here's the problem. it kills the free market a bit. Because with the free market, if you are able to go and study anything you want, you could go and study something which will allow you to become an entrepreneur, which means that there's more competition in the marketplace when you start up your business. It means that you can start up something. It means that you can innovate. And with innovation, that can lead to the free market. If businesses were in charge of handing out scholarships, then if you wanted to go and study something which you wanted to become an entrepreneur in, then businesses would be able to stop you because they don't want competition. Or they'd make it so that once you finish your study, then you've got to go work for that business. Now, there will be some people that are probably rich that will be able to go study whatever they want. They could go and study business, economics, and whatever, and then go and become an entrepreneur. But that's only some people. For a person that's just operating out of his garage and wants to start up a bike shop or something and wants to learn how to create bikes, so he goes to some place, engineering or something, and he signs a contract which says, after you have finished this, if you pass, you get a job at this place. Now, that's not too bad, but maybe that person wanted to become an entrepreneur, didn't want to go and work at some place. That's the problem that I have. Because I like entrepreneurs. I think they're great. As I said, it encourages innovation, it encourages competition, which is the best thing for the free market. I don't have a problem with the free market if it can actually work as intended. I think if you moderately regulate the free market, then it can actually become more free than if you don't regulate it at all. An example of this is one of the laws in New Zealand, which says that two businesses can't make a deal to stifle competition. That's an example of regulation leading to a freer marketplace.
This has been an introduction to Anarcho-Capitalism. I'm Reason.
And I'm Mr. Dapperton.
And I'm Lord Killian.
And I'm Planarwalk. And now that that's done, I can just go and sit on my lazy ass and just get paid by the government. Jeez, because I didn't put any work into those videos that I've been making over the past few days. It hasn't been tiring for me. And YouTube, because of that, YouTube doesn't pay me. Nah, just kidding. But anyway, I'll see you in the next video. Between you and me, thank you for watching.